can tell by my face, I am driving into the sun as the sun rises, which is kind of a fitting metaphor. I am beginning my first real long road trip in the Cybertruck. This trip will be a little over 4,100 miles, and I just left home a little while ago, and I'm headed to Carmel, Indiana, to Linden, Michigan, and then pretty much straight trip right back home again, which will be roughly 4,100 miles. I'll show you the route here. And because this is going to be such a long road trip, I'll show you the charging stops and some sights along the way. And at the very end of the video, I'll go over all the numbers and what kind of efficiencies that I had during this trip. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and let's head for our first stop, which is Kingman, Arizona. And that'll be our first charging stop. And then from there, there'll be several more charging stops until I reach my first overnight destination, which is Santa Rosa, New Mexico. So just a quick juice and go here at Kingman. Good stop. This building over here is kind of a gift shop and a historic building, but also had restrooms inside and snacks if you want. So from here, the next stop will be Flagstaff, Arizona, then Gallup, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then the first overnight of this particular road trip in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. 1 minute to go now. And next stop will be Flagstaff. So I am in Flagstaff, and I just hooked up to the supercharger. It says 40 minutes left, and it'll get me on the road for the next stop of Gallup, New Mexico.
You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. In fact, you're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
So the Gallup, New Mexico supercharger was actually in a hotel parking lot, and I guess because it was co-located with the hotel, they allowed you to use the restrooms over there. It was pretty much, that's it as far as facilities are concerned. All right, next stop, Albuquerque, New Mexico. my next to last stop for this day one of the trip. It's a supercharger, 250 kilowatts, at basically it's a shopping mall here. And there's also right down that way, there's a pizza place called Giamani's, I believe it's called, and I'm gonna stop there, grab some dinner. All right, Giamani's was actually a pretty good spot to eat, and now I'm off to Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and grab my first hotel of the trip.
7-8?
Finally at my layover hotel, the supercharger just actually topped off at 83%. So this way I can leave straight here in the morning without having to get the battery all preconditioned. I can just basically blast off, and with the Sentry mode and the Phantom drain, that'll probably have me leaving here with about 79%. Anyway, the hotel that I'm staying at is right over there. I don't know if you can see over the fence, the Comfort. And a little bit of bad planning on my part. I didn't know there was a fence here because there was also a Holiday Inn that I could have stayed here, which is right where the superchargers are. But the Comfort Inn was a bit less expensive, so that works out pretty well. And dropped all my stuff off already at the hotel. And then when I came back, I see another Cybertruck here doing some charging as well. But that's it. I am done charging. I'm going to go to the hotel, park over there, and call it a night. And then we'll begin day number 2. All right, forgive the glare of the sun that's rising in the east to the direction which I'll be headed here in a little bit, but I thought I was going right to Amarillo as I was ending that last video, but one thing I didn't notice, and that was in the last video too, so the Phantom drain and the cold temperatures, 45 degrees, have degraded the battery to the point where I actually got to put a little splash and go here at Santa Rosa before I head to Amarillo. Also, I noticed there was another Cybertruck parked here, different one from last night. Let's go take a look. This one is not the supercharger, and I guess he's just staying at the hotel here. All right, looks like he was about ready to head out too. I'm going to give myself just a few more minutes, and then we'll be on the road to Amarillo, Texas. Alright, pulled into Amarillo here to charge. Pretty much just a gas station with a Wendy's here. 250 kilowatt chargers. It is also a rather chilly 41 degrees and kind of windy. So it's actually got quite a bit of time to charge before we do the next stop, which is Weatherford, Oklahoma. Well, I took advantage of my extended stay here to charge. It's really cold and really windy, so I'm certain that's why I needed the extended charge time. But inside the gas station itself, they had quite a bit to offer. So nice restrooms, and they had Mitch's Texas-style barbecue, which is pretty good. So I had 2 meats and 2 sides. One was a chopped brisket. The other one was a pulled pork. They were both pretty good. The 2 sides were sort of a spicy macaroni and cheese. That was good. And the coleslaw was just so-so. And then they had a dessert that I had to take advantage of. It was basically banana pudding. All right, that's enough to continue the trip. And we're on our way now to Weatherford, Oklahoma. Finally, in Weatherford, Oklahoma, the winds and the temperature have been kind of brutal on the range. So I got another little over an hour for charging to get to Tulsa. Then when I get to Tulsa, looks like I'll have another 40 minutes to finally reach my second overnight of this trip in Joplin, Missouri. So in this particular parking lot, these are 150 kilowatt chargers, and there's only 6 of them. So the speeds kind of slow down. That has something to do, a little bit to do with the time. In the parking lot, we have one restaurant over here, kind of a sit-down restaurant, and then looks like a gas station over there. There's a Model X charging off their road trip. They got some bikes on their rack. And anyway, so I got some time to kill, so I think I'm going to go get something to eat. The restaurant is Lucille's Roadhouse. Right behind it are the superchargers. And speaking of superchargers, mine just sent me an alert that it's time to go. Another Cybertruck by me. Okay, onward, and we're off to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just stopped at the Tulsa Supercharger. It's at a big shopping center, and it's saying about 30 minutes to continue the trip. I may give it just a little extra because the hotel I'm staying at tonight does have a destination charger, so it's possible I can even top it off for basically day 3 of the trip. Well, walked around the shopping center, found this tropical cafe. They had a bathroom which I could use, and got a smoothie for the last leg of the road trip today. If you can see it there in the distance, that's where the superchargers are. And this is the shopping center. My only comment to this is, this looks nothing like it does in the Tulsa King.
Because Tulsa belongs to me now.
All right, back on the road and on the way to Joplin, Missouri. Definitely frost on the pumpkin this morning. Chilly 26 degrees, but I did have a destination charger, although this is not the Tesla destination charger. There were some over there, but one was already taken up when I got here, and the second one was actually out of service. So I used these Clipper Creek chargers, and it worked, and it got me up to 80%. Oh, just a quick pro tip, make sure you always take your adapter with you, because if I had not had the adapter, then there would have been no charge overnight. Alright, put it on defrost mode just before I left the hotel. It's pretty close to being defrosted. Nice and cozy inside, and next stop from where I'm at in Joplin is Springfield, Missouri. Springfield supercharger. Nice long cables. They're really thick cables. Let's see what kind of charging rate we're getting. There it goes. It's beginning to ramp up. Now, of course, I came in here with 43% stated charge. The drive was roughly about an hour to get here. All right, just left the Springfield supercharger. Put a little extra in, and then the next stop will be Fenton, Missouri. Busted. The Fenton, Missouri supercharger. It is at a like a gas station area called Wally's. It says it needs 20 minutes to continue the trip. Let's wait the 20 minutes. I'll probably use the bathroom again, and then we'll be back on our way. All right, Wally's was a surprisingly good stop. Very close to the superchargers, obviously. Bathrooms were very good in there. Individual stalls, well maintained, and lots of stuff to eat in there, including the popcorn that I just got. Chicago mix popcorn. It's actually a pretty good supercharger stop. 30 minutes. I gave it just a little extra, and now we're off to the next supercharger, and the last supercharger for today. It'll be Effingham, Illinois. At my last supercharger of the day, and the Tesla map made me stop at this Effingham, Illinois supercharger. So 250 kilowatt, but looks like I'm getting bit more. And I'll probably charge this up just a little more than what they're suggesting, the 25 minutes to continue the trip, just so I have some extra on the other side. Well, there's a little bit of glare, but I don't know if you can see it. I got a software update. And I'm taking this time at the supercharger to do the update with my Starlink unit. And I literally just set that up right now for the very first time, and it's working pretty instantly. Okay, pretty productive stop. And while I use the restroom and charge, basically downloading a software update. I am on my way to Dana's brother's house, and I will call it a night, put some extra charge in the battery so I have a little extra juice when I'm in there. And as you can currently see, I'm using Starlink to finish the download of the software update. I will see everybody at Dana's brother's house in Carmel, Indiana. And 75 miles, and I am here. At least leg number one. Beginning the second leg of this road trip, going to my son's house in Linden, Michigan. Very cold morning, 27 degrees, 84% state of charge, and it's got me stopping at two places. And I'm thinking it's because of degradation of cold on the battery right now. So we'll see how it goes. And either way, I probably would stop twice anyway, just to have a little extra charge once I'm running around up there. Leaving the land of roundabouts, Carmel, Indiana. Oh, by the way, it's literally so cold this morning that it's already preconditioning the battery for the first supercharging stop in Fort Wayne. First supercharger for this leg of the trip is basically in a what they call a Myers shopping center parking lot, coffee place over there. Not really very much else except chargers are pretty quick. I got 255 kilowatts to start out with, and only about 12 minutes to continue the trip. I might put just a smidge more in there, but yep. This is stop number one of this. All right, back on the road once again, and there will be a second supercharger stop thanks to the cooler temperatures, and of course the wind is a little bit gustier than expected. So we'll be stopping in a place called Marshall, Michigan, and that'll be the last stop before I arrive at my son's house in Linden, Michigan. So the Charger's in Marshall, Michigan here, by a family fare supermarket. They'd have restrooms inside, and these are 250 kilowatt chargers, but looks like I've already maxed out while I was using the restroom, now down to 150. Okay, definitely stayed at this Marshall, Michigan supercharger a lot longer than needed, but I also wanted to have a little extra charge on the other end for running around and going to restaurants and things like that. Anyway, I'll be on my way for the final stop of this leg, Linden, Michigan. I am finally here at my son's house. As you can see, he's doing some renovations. It looks really good. Finally at the supercharger here. It was a real strange route to get here, and I did get in with 2%. I had to take a phone call from Dana because I had dropped her off at the airport, so I ran the state of charge down. But again, this will be the first real supercharger of the final leg back home, and boy, it says 1 hour remaining to continue the trip. So it is what it is. There's a shopping center here. It's another one of those superchargers at a Myers shopping center. So I'm going to go in there and maybe pick up a couple of snacks to eat for the trip, use a restroom, and then once this thing is done, I'll be on my way. Begin the final leg of this over 4,000 mile road trip. Oh, by the way, right now I've got 2,425 miles that I've done since I left home. All right, I'll come back when this thing is charged up, ready to go. Back in the car now. Use the restrooms here at the Maya Shopping Center. There was a McDonald's. Picked a little something up to snack on for the ride on over towards, it says Stevensville, Michigan, which is right near Benton Harbor and just on the outskirts of Lake Michigan. And I could have left earlier, but I figured this is kind of like a pack reset. So I had it down at 2%. I'll wait the extra few minutes and I'll bring it to 100%. As you might be able to see outside, very windy, definitely very cold and snowy. So that'll probably hit the range just a little bit, and it's not a bad idea just to have it, and just only a couple more minutes to bring it up to 100%. Okay, in just 2 more minutes, I'll be disconnecting and hitting the road to Stevensville, Michigan. I just left the Stevensville, Michigan supercharger, heading on to I-94 west towards Chicago, and we're going to be going to Peru, Illinois. Supposedly getting there with 21% state of charge, and probably do one more leg before I find a hotel for the night. But anyway, back onto the journey, onto I-94 west towards Chicago and Peru, Illinois. So still 55 miles away from the Peru Illinois supercharger, and I just wanted to point something out. It's already preconditioning the battery because it's so cold. Right now it's 23 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's also pretty windy, so seems to make sense, but it also degrades the range just a little bit. About 20 minutes here, and then it'll be off to Walcott, Iowa. And I think that's probably where I'll find a hotel for the night, and that'll be the end of this particular day here before I continue. About ready to disconnect here and head towards Davenport, Iowa now. The hotel that I'll be staying at tonight is in Davenport, which is just shy of Walcott. So as soon as I leave the hotel tomorrow, it'll precondition the battery. I'll stop at the supercharger once I leave the hotel in Walcott. And then I'll be on my way for the next portion of the trip back home. Hotel here in Davenport, call it a night, and start out again tomorrow morning. It is December 1, but yet it feels like January 1. So cold this morning here in Davenport, Iowa, that I'm actually getting a low tire pressure warning because of the colder temperatures bringing the pressures down. Luckily, there is a gas station over there, right outside this hotel I'm staying at, and I'm also hoping that they have an air compressor over there, so I will put some air back into the tires. Now, the fact that the gas station had an air pump here was kind of useless because the connector device on the pump itself was broken, but I do carry an air compressor, so I'm just going to sit here and take care of the tires myself. And I'm already coming up to pressure. I filled the driver's side, front, and now I'm doing the driver's side rear, and I'll go around. And of course, I'm using the outlets in the Cybertruck to go ahead and power up the pump that I have. So that's pretty cool. But so is the weather. 19 degrees. Also wanted to point out kind of a major drawback to putting air on the tires, that every time you have to do so, the wheel covers need to come off. Let me show you on the other side where it's already done. Basically, there's no valve exposed at all. So again, the wheel covers have to come off. All right, finally on the road. Got pressure in the tires and on my way to the Walcott, Iowa supercharger, and it's already preconditioning. A quick change of plans. Gonna extend this one a little bit further, go to Iowa City. That'll help make up a little bit of lost time. So anyway, arrive at Iowa City with about 4%. And roughly 35 minutes downtime to charge there. Alright, apologize, might be a little bit of a glare from the morning sun. But it says 20 minutes to continue the trip, and I'm actually going to probably stick pretty close to that today and not do too much extra. Yeah, the extreme cold will affect the range somewhat, but it doesn't seem as windy today. And I'm also trying to minimize the lost time. Next stop will be Des Moines, Iowa. It says get in there with 12%, give it 40 minutes. Probably be a good time for a restroom break. Then after Des Moines, it'll be Omaha, Nebraska, so we'll be finally leaving Iowa. Now today's trip is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of planning. Because of the holidays, I knew which stops I was pretty much going to make, but I'm going to kind of wing it on the way back home. Although I expect pretty much one more overnight, possibly two, but at least one more overnight tonight. And then before I arrive back home on the next day into the Las Vegas area. Guess I'm not the only one this morning. All right, back on the road, 11:11, going to Des Moines, Iowa. Brooklyn, Iowa. Oh!
Forget about it.
Yeah, I got the Fleetwood bomb.
Is that right?
Yeah.
With the velour?
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Sorry for the glare. Back into the sun again. Arrived at 11%, 35 minutes to continue the trip. And might give it just a smidge more because the temperatures are still pretty darn cold. This supercharger is at a gas station here. I'm going to see if they have some restrooms inside because this is my restroom break here. All right, just finished supercharging here in Des Moines. Off to Omaha, Nebraska next, and arrive there with approximately 13%. And we have enough to go, and let's hit the road. As you can see, it just rolled over 3,000 miles so far on this road trip. You can also see I've used 1,524 kilowatt hours, and I've done that at a average of 508 watt hours per mile. Look who I'm meeting up with again. In Omaha, Nebraska, at least the outskirts of it. Just plugged in for a 30-minute charge here. Came in at around 12%. It's now at 13% after I plugged in. Plan is I'll do Grand Island, North Platte, and I'm going to try to make it to Colorado this evening. But I don't think it was going to be brushed because that's a little on the late side. About 11 p.m. I'd like to be kind of down for the day prior to that. So anyway, this particular supercharger here, old 250 kilowatts, I'm now getting 252 out of it, and it's at a another Hy-Vee shopping center, so this is pretty popular. I'll lower this because the window's a little dirty, and there it is, and that's probably where I'll go ahead and use a restroom and maybe grab a snack to eat. I just got back to the Cybertruck from the Hy-Vee over there. There is a market grill. I don't know if you can see it right there. Really didn't have very many options in there. And then a Hy-Vee is just a bunch of supermarket items. Not much in the way of snacks that I really wanted. So, next stop is Grand Island, Nebraska. And supposedly, there's a Thunder Road Grill right next to the supercharger. And it should be open until 11. So, I'm going to plan on that. Looks like they have some better food items. And just going to use the snacks that I have in the car. Right now, 2 minutes left to continue the trip. I'll give it maybe just a smidge more, and then we'll be on our way to Grand Island, Nebraska. Well, decided to get some of the road grime off this thing and go to a car wash. Well, that car wash was about as basic gets. It didn't even do any drying, but I'm going to hit the highway now, so hopefully that will actually do some air drying here. Two Cybertrucks here, mine's the furthest one away. So this supercharger here in Grand Island is in a parking lot with a gas station, a Subway, a Little Caesars, an Arby, and a restaurant called Thunder Road, which is where I'm headed for. Finished having a pizza over at the Thunder Road Grill, and if I were to give it my Dave Portnoy score for a Detroit style pizza, I'd have to go about 6.5. It was just enough just to take the hunger away, But now I'm on my way to North Platte.
Looks like you're giving blood. Nothing great about it.
Just left the North Platte Supercharger on my way to Sterling, Colorado, where I'll grab a hotel for the night.
Hours later.
The last hotel of the trip, Best Western here in Sterling, Colorado. Little defrosting of the Cybertruck, and should be home by tonight. Let's get on the road. And by on the road, I mean my first stop at a Supercharger in Brush, Colorado. Plugged in at the Brush, Colorado Supercharger. It's only 150 kilowatts, and there's not too much around here. There is over there is a Domino's, there's a gas station, Phillips 66 behind me, Wendy's across the street, and nothing but farmland, and it smells like it. We need about 35 minutes here, and part of that is because getting about 139 kilowatts out of the 150 that was hopefully going to be getting. All right, went to 70%, 68 would have been okay to go. So now we're heading towards Idaho Springs, Colorado, and finally going to get to some scenery, because as we get to Idaho Springs, the rest of the trip from there will be through the mountains. So let's get on the road and head to Idaho Springs, Colorado. I just pulled into the Idaho Springs, Colorado Supercharger, and at least the area around here is probably one of the more picturesque areas I've ever been to. All right, walked around a little bit, have enough to continue the trip. This particular supercharger stop here is very scenic. The building that is right over there is a gas station, decent restrooms and coffees and snacks. But anyway, have enough to go. Let's unplug and head to the supercharger in Parachute, Colorado name. That's a very cool name. Anyway, underway. Parachute, Colorado at the superchargers here. Came in with about 17%, and I've walked around a little bit, used the restroom. There is a Sinclair gas station over there. Got a couple of places to eat. One was closed. The other one is a Domino's Pizza. They also have a car wash over here, but probably going to skip the car wash until I get home. But anyway, I've got about 8 minutes left to go, and we'll be on the road to Green River, Utah. There it is, 4,000 total miles for this road trip so far. The Green River, Utah supercharger, and there is a restaurant across the street that actually got pretty decent reviews, and I'm sure they'll have restrooms, so I'm going to go over there, grab some dinner, let this thing charge very slowly at the 150 kilowatt supercharger. All right, the Tamarisk restaurant was actually pretty good. They have a good selection of foods, very eclectic, everything from steaks to salads to even Mexican food. I had fish tacos, and they were actually pretty good. And Cybertruck's been telling me it's time to go, so I'm going to head across the street, unplug, and head to the next destination. All right, got way more charge than I actually needed, but had a good meal, so that was good. So next stop will be Richfield, Utah, then Cedar City, Utah, and then home. And it says 12:25 a.m., but I'm thinking that might be an hour off because I don't think it takes into account the time change, but we'll see how that works. All right, it's off and going to Richfield, Utah. Okay, I'm at the Richfield, Utah supercharger. It is the penultimate supercharger stop for this entire road trip. The next one will be Cedar City, Utah, and that'll be the last supercharger for this trip, as the stop after that is basically at home and my home charger there. At the present time, I've driven 4,133 miles, and I've got 13 minutes remaining to continue this trip and to Cedar City. Okay, there's 70%. Gives me 10% arrival, which is double digits. Even if it's a little less, that's a little bit of a cushion that I like. Into Cedar City. That's where I'm at, and that's where I'm going for the very last supercharger of this trip. Just plugged in at my very last supercharger. It says 25 minutes remaining to continue the trip. This particular supercharger at Cedar Rapids, Utah, is at a Sinclair gas station. That's pretty much all there is around here. I'm sure they got restrooms and all that stuff. But the most important thing is this is the last stop of this road trip. Currently have 4,251 miles. Let's get the 25 minutes remaining to charge, and I'll be on my way home. All right, finally, back home to Nevada. I would like to point something out with the navigation here, and this happened to me twice in this trip. So it may have the mileage, but it doesn't accurately update the time if there's a time zone change, because the whole time it was saying I was going to arrive at about anywhere between midnight 20, midnight 30 when I started out. However, as soon as I got the time zone change, it adjusted itself to 11:16. And on the way out to Indiana, it did the same thing. I thought it was going to arrive roughly around 6:20, but unfortunately, it did not adjust for the time change. and I arrived at around 7:20 instead. So just be advised of that when you do the navigation. The mileage obviously is going to be correct, and the charging stops will be correct, but the time of arrival will not always be accurate if you have to go through a time zone change.
As promised, I will now wrap up this video by going through all the numbers and the efficiency of my dual motor Cybertruck for this road trip. So to recap, for leg 1, I traveled through 8 states in 3 days with 2 overnight hotel stays. Leg 2 was 2 states when I traveled from Indiana to Michigan. And for leg 3, I traveled through 9 states in 3 days with 2 overnight hotel stays. So in total, I traveled 4,429 miles with an average of 505 watt-hours per mile. Now, with roughly 7,100 miles driven since I purchased my non-foundation dual-motor Cybertruck, my total watt-hour per mile is 470, which is a difference of 35 watt-hours per mile. Now, although I wish the efficiency was better than 505, keep in mind there were varying degrees of challenging weather conditions, including strong winds, cold temperatures, and snow in the Midwest, which absolutely had a negative effect on the efficiency for this trip. I might add that I also had a bit of a heavy foot as far as the speeds were concerned. However, I mostly kept pace with traffic, but I definitely took advantage of the higher speed limits available on the route back home. Now, as far as charging, I charged to 100% before leaving home and then utilized a total of 30 superchargers, 1 hotel destination charger, and an overnight charge with a 120-volt outlet. My grand total of supercharging costs was $883.73, which comes out to a smidge under 20 cents per mile, which also included using 3 superchargers over the time that I was visiting with family. In total, my dual-motor Cybertruck used 2,236 kilowatt hours, which is roughly the equivalent of charging the battery from 0 to full 18 times.
Oh, forget about it.
So that was my 4,400-mile road trip in my dual-motor Cybertruck. I not only hope that you found this video helpful, but that it dispelled any fears that you might have with taking a long road trip in a Cybertruck or any other Tesla for that matter. Speaking of Teslas, if you've considered buying a Cybertruck or any other Tesla, and that's going to be your first purchase of a Tesla ever, consider using my referral link in the description below, which will save you $1,000 off that purchase price. Now you need to click on that link in the description in order to generate the discount code on Tesla's ordering page. Anyway, if you did find this video helpful, please hit that like button, which helps getting this content out to others that might also be interested in it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so, and be sure to hit that notification bell so that you're alerted to any new video that I publish in the future. And finally, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.
Passing through max Q. Point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle.